live from the scene.
Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new Battlefield video with me, Extra Specialist. Today's topic is Battlefield 5 and will we be in a modern setting or a pre-war setting? Previously, less than 48 hours ago, a Swiss retailer put on their site that Battlefield 5 will be a tactical shooter in World War I. And why I'm playing a Hardline on a Battlefield video is because the last DLC, which launches for Hardline on Tuesday, Betrayal, could contain the clues that we need to solidify this. And a lot of people, are going to say, well, they put war weapons in the game because, fans have been asking for them, and it's a little bit nod to the pre-war so people can get, a little bit off their chest and enjoy some memorabilia from that time period. But needless to say, the two weapons that are going to be in our decisive factor here are the M1903 Springfield Sniper Rifle, which is a U.S. weapon, and also the Syndicate gun, which we have no idea how we're going to lock, that being the Lewis automated machine gun, which is also a U.S. weapon. Now, like I said before, a lot of you are going to, tell me that, Tyler, these are just weapons that are in the game because Visceral wanted to, cleanse our appetite for wanting, some pre-war weapons, and they're just gonna, make us happy by putting these in here. Well, I'm gonna go on a limb and say here that the fact that we have two World War I era weapons in the game for the last DLC is not a coincidence with also hearing a rumor that Battlefield 5 is in World War I. Now, I'm gonna get into a history lesson, guys, so if you guys do not want me to talk about a lot about World War I and its significance, click off now, because for the duration of this video, I'm just going to be talking about if World War I and Battlefield 5 was a thing. I just want to talk about the possible features and things that I think could make it in the game, as far as battle-wise, weapons, guns. So, just, sit back, grab some food, grab some water, and enjoy a little bit of history lesson here. Because we're going to spend a little bit talking about the possibilities of what battles and small things can get into Battlefield 5 if it indeed was in a World War I setting. So, these guns, though, in significance, the M1903 Springfield Sniper Rifle debuted in World War I in June 19, 1903, and obviously was a United States weapon. Surprisingly enough, it's probably one of the most iconic weapons of World War I and World War II for that matter, because it did get used for both wars. We also have the Syndicate gun, which is the Lewis automated machine gun with that really cool looking circular magazine on top of the gun that rotates as it shoots. Interesting enough, it was actually a U.S. design that was eventually mass-produced by the British in 1911, and it's actually a gas-operated machine gun, which is pretty interesting. I can imagine, too, that if a bullet hit it in, the gas sting area, I would imagine it would explode. I've never seen one actually fire, so I can't entirely guarantee that. But pretty much, when a bullet hits a gas sting, it's going to explode. That's, what happens. In generalities, though, one thing I want to point out that is really cool is that one of its massive purposes, besides being a machine gun, was that it eventually was adopted to use on World War I aircraft and biplanes and that good jazz. Which brings me into the factor that if Battlefield 5 in World War I was a thing, I would strongly, would suggest that planes would play a huge part of the Battlefield. It's pretty obvious. If you're going to have a World War I game, Battlefield 5, you're going to have planes in there. And I would expect there to be the Lewis gun on a plane in Battlefield 5 for a two-player thing. If not being a gun itself. But enough about these two guns. We're gonna, slow down here and get into some actual history. And just to, I took some time to research some battles for you guys because I wanted to give you an underground of, what could possibly be some big setting things and or maps and or campaign missions for a World War I Battlefield 5 setting. These are the biggest decisive battles of World War I. They're not, some of them you probably never heard of, some of them you probably have. We have the Battle of Tannenberg, which saw over 182,000 casualties. those being Russians and Germans versus each other. Russians lost about 170 guys. Germans lost about 12,000 guys, so they were on the wrong end of that one. Russians were. It was pretty much the Russian Second Army versus Germany's 8th Army, and it went between August 26th to the 30th in 1914, and it was registered as a German victory. And next up, we have the Battle of Arras. Just to let you know, guys, I'm not German. I'm obviously from the U.S., so if I pronounce or botch any of these translations, please let me know in the comments section, how you pronounce them, because I don't know how to pronounce half of these. But the Battle of Arras, 278 total thousand casualties. Basically, the British Army dug beneath enemy lines, the German lines to be exact, in Arras in April 1917, which in what was considered an indecisive battle. The Allies lost about 158,000 troops to the Germans 120,000. So, at this point in time, the Germans, they were the most prepared in the war. They're dominating everybody. Their troops were just much more ready than everybody else was. Next up, we have the Gallipoli campaign, which is a huge, popular failure for everyone's favorite British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill. They saw 473 total thousand casualties in 1915 when Churchill decided to launch an attack on Dardanelles, which is modern-day Turkey now, to threaten the capital of Constantinople. The Allies lost 220,000 people, with the Turks losing 253,000, and it did end up being a complete failure for Winston Churchill, and what started his career of just people totally doubting him. This was an Ottoman victory, and like I said before, with Churchill failing here, it actually degraded him out of his office, and he would eventually go join the British Army to try and gain back his respect from his people. Next up, we got the First Battle of the Marne, which saw 483,000 total casualties on both sides between the Allies and the Germans, which was majority, it was basically the French and the British versus the Germans. That took place between September 5th and the 12th of 1914. And the Allies actually claimed victory in this. They lose about 263,000 troops to the Germans' 220,000 people. Next up, we have the Serbian campaign, which saw about 633,500 plus casualties. It began with the Austrian shelling of Belgrade on July 29th, 1914. Followed by a military invasion of Austria-Hungary into Serbia on August 12th. The Serbians lost about 11 million people, and the majority of that was soldiers and civilians, which is absolutely mad. Next up, we have the Battle of Passchendaele. I don't exactly know how to say that. It saw 848,614 casualties, also known as the Third Battle of Ypres. British acquired small territory. Mud actually bogged tanks, and believe it or not, men actually drowned in mud. Can you imagine just going through the water and you lose the ability to move because your boots are getting stuck in there, and the mud's so high that you end up falling in it and you're stuck and you drowned? I have to go ahead and assume that drowning in mud has to be the most painful and worst death I've ever heard of. The Allies will see losses of about 448,614. The Germans will lose about 400,000. Next, we have one of the most iconic battles of World War I, being the Battle of Verdun, seeing 976,000 casualties. This was being the German versus the French. February 21st through 1916 through December 18th, 1916, 40 million artillery shells fired, which left so many craters. It basically left Verdun in a state of Swiss cheese, looking like the moon. And interesting enough, I believe if you go there today, a lot of these craters are actually still there in Verdun, because of how many they were left back there. You guys can see some of them still visually. The French saw casualties of about 442,000 people lost. Sorry, and the Germans lost about 435,000 here. Next up, we have the Battle of the Somme, which was also a huge one, losing a whole total of 1,219,201 casualties. There are a lot of people lost their lives in that battle. It took place July 1st through November 18th, 1916. with the Allies losing about 623,906 and the Germans losing 600,000 troops. This actually, believe it or not, was an Allied victory, and it would set the final stages for the Allies to win World War I. Second last, we have the Spring Offensive. 715 people lost their lives on March 21st, 1918, in what was another Allied victory. The Germans would lose 680,000 troops, and the Allies would lose 850,000. And last but not least, one massive battle that would most 100% be in Battlefield 5, if it was a World War I setting, would be the 100 Days Offensive, which saw 1,855,369 casualties, and it went from August 8th, 100 days later, to November 1918. This was an Allied victory, with the Germans losing 785,733 troops. The Allies would lose 1,069,636 troops. So, it's funny, the majority of the times the Allied wins, they totally got crushed in all these battles with, you know, troops lost and stuff like that. This would, in the end, it would set up the ultimate humiliation and reparations for Germany, because after this, the Treaty of Versailles, Germany, Japan, and Italy would be stood on from this treaty, which would, go into them becoming the Axis powers in World War II, but that's a different topic, which we're not getting into. But yeah, Germany would be humiliated, and this would ultimately, this is how Hitler became into power. Wanted to, get Germany out of humiliation, and then obviously they had to deal with war reparations. And I do believe they're still paying for the war today, if I'm not entirely correct, because God forbid it was, they cost the world so much in destruction. But now we're going to get into enough of the history. I want to get into what I think would be, great things to use in there. I took it upon myself to go up and look up a bunch of weapons, grenades, and small things that I would like to see in the game. So, grenade-wise, we have the French F1 hand grenade, British hand grenades being number 6 and number 7, U.S. Mark 1 hand grenade, U.S. Mills grenade, U.S. Pineapple hand grenade, German model 1977 Einhandgranate, German model 24 style hand grenade, which is that iconic one. It kind of looks like an ice cream cone, but it wouldn't taste like an ice cream cone. In fact, it'd probably blow your face off. We have the British ball grenade, British oval grenade, British 8 grenade, some pistols that could possibly make it into the next Battlefield 5 game is World War I. We have the Italian Beretta model 1915, U.S. Colt M1911, German Luger P08, and a German Mauser C96, which is one of the most iconic looking pistols in World War I. Some rifles, we have the U.S. Browning 1918 BAR, British Lee Enfield, German Mauser Gether 98, the Russian Mosin Nagant model 1841, and the U.S. Springfield 1903, which is indeed going to be in next Tuesday's DLC for the Harley Petrilla, which I cannot wait to get my hands on with the iconic, amazing scope on there. So excited for that. Machine gun-wise for you guys, we got the U.S. Browning M1917, the U.S. Lewis machine gun, which we've seen also coming in Heartland for next week. And last but not least, we have the German Maxim MG08 machine gun, which, fun fact, for those of you who played the Origins Zombies map in Black Ops 2, the MG08 machine gun is actually in that gun, as that it was that air-specific weapon we saw. So that's cool to have that, it was cool to have that in a previous video game. That could be a possibility in a Battlefield World War I title. We completely will never know. Next up, I wrote down, and I literally squared it on my thing, as I just wrote mortars in general. Mortars are a huge thing in Battlefield. We saw them in Battlefield 4, and although many people didn't use them, I can assume that there would be different mortar levels in Battlefield 5, if so big in World War I. And I also have shotguns-wise, a few here. U.S. Browning Auto 5, U.S. Winchester Model 1912, also U.S. Trench Gun, which is very iconic from World at War, being on Treyarch's title. So last but not least, just small things that go on. Expect a presence of old war tanks, much different from the MBT and M1 Abrams that we've seen in previous Battlefield titles. Look to see a few small planes, biplanes, you know, like I said, and have that ability to have that Lewis machine gun on there mounted, to maybe have a guy piloting and a guy gunning in the back, which would be absolutely awesome. I'm imagining that Frostbite technology. I'm just already getting myself hyped up beyond belief for it. I also wrote down trench warfare, which would just be a humongous, amazing thing to have. We've seen trenches in Battlefield 4 a little bit. Perisal Storm had a couple trenches on the island, but you know they're not that special because the island is not really. It's not really. You don't really see too many guys fighting in the trenches. The only mode I have seen on Battlefield 4 that had a lot of people in trenches was that thing. I'm having a brain moment here. It's not Conquest. It's the game mode with the 2 MCOMs and you Rush. That's what I'm thinking of. Rush. Apologize for that. This is one of those moments where you just know what you're trying to think of and you can't come up with it. But yeah, Rush had the MCOMs on the island, and there was actually an MCOM inside of the one trench, and majority of the people would probably be in the trench fighting. But yeah, so trench warfare would be an absolute must for the game, and that would be so cool to see. You know, just poke your head up, just have guys just launching mortars over your heads, you know, things falling down your feet. It'd be absolutely amazing. And then last but not least, my wish for Battlefield 5, if it were to go a route of World War I, full customization. I want to have the ability to have, you know, like a clan tag or a cool motto, like engraved into my gun. Maybe like an engraved feature, like how Battlefield has, that, you know, it tells you how many kills you have, where they can be engraved in my gun to see how many kills I have, and it'll go up as I, you know, continue to kill people. I want to, you know, change out my loadout with different camos, different outfits and stuff like that. I want to, you know, I actually would like it if they did not put any gun camos in the game at all, because back in World War I, few gun camos that are actually air specific, not like stupid money camos or bacon camos or stupid shit like that we've seen in Call of Duty, or funny shit that we've seen like the Leopard Panther skin in Battlefield Hardline. Actual air specific camos. But in general, guys, I hope you enjoyed my speculatory video on Battlefield 5. I honestly would say at this point right now that I'm like at 75% aiming towards that this is definitely a World War I title. And I know it would be really weird to say that because, you know, they're going from a modern time to a time back when everything was so simple. I do seriously think that World War I should be considered because, you know, I don't think a Swiss... I mean, obviously that Swiss reseller, when they put down tactical shooter in World War I, that they didn't, you know, intend to leak that, if it is a leak. But in general, though, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video and enjoyed a little bit of history lesson, something new. Please let me know in the comment section. I know I, you know, learned a few things researching today. Stay tuned to the channel tomorrow for World of Tanks, as well as stay tuned later today for the finale of Fallout 4 that will come to an end. And then Monday, World of Tanks for you guys, back with Tank Scrub live. And then Tuesday, most likely an Easter egg live stream at either 9 or 10 a.m. It depends on what time the DLC launches. Whenever that launches, I'll have it up for you guys, no doubt. And then Betrayal DLC all day Tuesday. And then actually next Thursday, guys, the Racer Track launches for Black Ops 3, which I cannot be more hyped for in my life. I'm going to be wall-to-wall gameplay from that, as well as the Easter egg when we get that done. Probably going to live stream the Easter egg, actually, to be entirely honest with you. But, so, let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Will Battlefield 5 be in World War I? Could it be in World War II? Will it be back in the modern section, or will DICE just go and do 2143 and blow us away with some futuristic technology in Frostbite 3? As a fan and of the old war times, I really hope it's going to be World War I. I think it would be fantastic, and I just can't help but think about having like an actual trench. Just imagine having like a trench shovel on my back as a melee weapon and taking it out and just bashing you guys' brains in. Like, that'd be awesome. But in the end, though, guys, I'm going to stop babbling on. Hopefully, our dreams will come true with a Frostbite 3 World War I Battlefield game. I've been Extra Specialist. I'll see you guys tomorrow with World of Tanks, and stay tuned next week for some awesome DLC coverage from Battlefield Hardline and Black Ops 3, guys. But yeah, have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video.